Welcome back, and thank you for joining A Shark's Perspective. So we've hit another milestone, episode 250, a quarter century for this show, if you will. And a milestone like that deserves an amazing name who I've pursued for quite a bit to be on the show. She's been putting her marketing knowledge out there for quite some time, and what started as a virtual assistant and transitioned into being a well-recognized content marketing boutique agency and business consultancy. Lilac Bullock is a marketing and social media consultant, entrepreneur, author of Images That Influence, keynote speaker, listed by Forbes as one of the top 20 women social media influencers, winner of Oracle's Social Influencer of Europe, and named the #1 digital marketing influence by Career Expert. And on this episode, we'll discuss taking a more holistic viewpoint of your marketing, blogging and writing more killer content, not just more content, what it takes to change your marketing, England, Israel, Zumba, being a mumpreneur, having a lot more followers than your teenage daughter, and a lot more. So let's tune in to a globally recognized marketing expert with your globally recognized expert shark on the 250th episode of A Shark's Perspective. Lilac, thank you so much for joining us today on A Shark's Perspective. You're one of the biggest names in marketing all over the world, but would you please let us know briefly about your background, story, and career to date?
Oh, thank you so much, Kenneth.
Of
It's
course.
great to be here. So where it all began, around 16 years ago, I had my daughter, and I wanted to spend more time with her, not go back to my corporate job in London, and that wasn't possible. So I decided to set up a virtual assistant business working from home. And within 2 years, it had grown. I had offices, I sold the company. I even went to Downing Street, the best mumpreneur of the year. And I sold that business and then I launched into social media. I was one of the first on the scene. I was an early adopter. And I think that's been key to my success, really, being one of the first. I think timing's so important in business and often overlooked. So I immersed myself in social media. I had a social media marketing agency, and that's evolved into content marketing. And now I write for lots of different publications like Forbes and Social Media Examiner, Social Media Today, and many other content marketing institute, etc. And I also help people build a blog and make money online and specialize in basically helping people be able to make an income from their marketing as well as creating content that converts.
Well, your daughter is in her teenage years then now. Does it drive her
It
nuts that she
is.
has, that you've got hundreds of thousands of followers more than she does? It's got to be tough on a mom to have that many followers and have a teenage daughter that may not.
Yeah, that's so funny because she's she uses different social networks to
Sure,
me.
sure.
I make her have a Facebook account, which she hates having. Facebook's for old
Yeah.
timers like
Oh, yeah.
us, you know. So she's much more into the whole TikTok
TikTok.
and Instagram and Snapchat and things like that. So she beats me on those channels.
Yeah. Well, your accolades run far and wide. You've been considered the #1 influencer in the UK by Career Experts, a recipient for a Global Women's Champion Award for your outstanding contribution in leadership and business. And I read that you were also crowned the Social Influencer of Europe by Oracle. I'm not sure what sovereign territory Oracle has outside of Larry Ellison's massive estates, but what was that like? I know that was one that really sort of blew you away.
Yeah, no, I mean it's always lovely to win an award, and it's a great feeling, doing it. It's lovely. I think the global champion one. I couldn't go to They had a big award ceremony in
Yeah.
America, and I couldn't go at the time. And I had a friend who's a journalist in Washington, and he went and accepted it on my behalf. So that was really nice.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's always lovely to be recognised. It makes all the hard work worth it.
Sure.
You know.
So what brought you to Israel from England? What made you make that transition?
Yeah, so we moved here. It'll be 2 years the end of August. It's always been a lifelong dream. I was actually born here, but grew up in the UK. My parents are English. There's no affiliation. I was here when I was 18, and I just fell in love with the country and the people, and always wanted to come back.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm
Well,
very fortunate that Sorry, go on.
No, well, often we hear from influencers about picking up and living that life wherever you want. But as a person with marketing skills, you're actually doing it. How did you make that transition as a marketer and entrepreneur from one country to another and still be considered a name in that space? I mean, just 2 years ago, you still continue to elevate your brand name, if you will. And there's still some locality to a lot of what we do. And I know that your name wasn't necessarily what you were trying to grow, but obviously having that sort of name recognition can also help you attract a lot of clients more easily.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I was very fortunate because when we moved, I could literally just port my business across. You know,
Yeah,
everything I do is online. I travel for when I'm speaking at events, and all my clients are, you know, globally, as well as my audience and my readership. So it was a really, really easy transition. In fact, I was very spoiled. It has had no impact at all. Um, I mean, obviously, Corona is another story.
yeah.
I think that's harder than moving overseas, but yeah, no, it's the transition's been very smooth, and I'm very fortunate. I think the biggest challenge for me is in Israel. The weekend is Friday, Saturday,
Hmm.
and um, and we work Sunday to Thursday. So I think that's the hardest thing because I obviously want to sometimes take Fridays off when the rest of the world is working.
Exactly.
So yeah, but apart from that, it's been really very smooth process, and yeah, it's been great.
Well, first off, I'd like to touch on blogging. As you said, you've been doing this a long time now, and now you're also helping people start their own blog that you believe will help generate upwards of $10,000 in the first 3 months. I mean, tell us about that. I mean, obviously, that's not a promise that a lot of that relies on whoever the blogger is, but would love to know where you're positioning that today to help people blog and what a lot of people may have even thought of as an oversaturated market.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean I've been blogging now for coming up to 16 years, and I remember when I first started blogging, it was like 300 words for a blog
Yeah.
post, and then gradually evolved to 500. And you know, on my blog now, I've got some blogs which are over 20,000 word articles, 15,000. You know, really long form
These are
content.
mini
So
books.
I know it's crazy, and it just highlights how blogging has really evolved over the last few years. Look, it's a competitive space, and I think, particularly in light of Corona, more and more people want to be uh, working from home and also being able to monetize their blogs. And I was often asked, and I would give a lot of information, and I just decided to pivot slightly and focus more on helping people make money online because one of the things that I try and pride myself on is, well, two things. One is I like to practice what I preach. And the other is there's so many people out there who, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but, you know, there's a lot of bullshit, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's hard. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So I like to come in with a very fresh and honest and tactical approach to help people because I think that's what you need. Um, yeah, so that's why, and I love doing it. I love to be able to help people. And I think if people really want to make it work and are prepared to put in the hard work, it's certainly achievable.
One of the reasons that I specifically wanted to talk to you and why I'm a big fan of yours is you preach several things that I love, and that's really looking at the larger view and approach to marketing. Why do you think that more businesses don't look at their marketing today more holistically?
Because it's boring and we're lazy. We're naturally lazy. People want to do the fun and the exciting stuff. It's like building a house. Laying it, you've got to lay the foundations first, and it's boring. It doesn't appeal. It doesn't excite people. It's not sexy. People skip it. The amount of businesses, both large and small, from entrepreneurs to really large companies, they don't know their numbers. You know, it's shocking. Um, and it goes across the board. It doesn't matter the size of the company. People are really not au fait with their numbers. You know, they don't want to do the marketing, the planning, and then the strategizing and going over it again, and the tweaks and the changes. I don't know why. I mean, I love that part of
Exactly.
the business.
I don't know if it's just small metrics or just channels that people jump into, but how much of that do you think falls on the marketer themselves with where they need to learn as opposed to, say, the CMO and the leadership that needs to drive them in a more holistic approach direction?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the company. I mean, Amazon, for example, I did a case study on them, so I really had to look into them very detailed. They, at the time, I did a case study, it's about 4 years ago now, so the metrics will have probably changed since then. But at the time, they did 400 a month changes and tests to little things like just a button, just changing the shape of the button and testing it and things like that. So look, I mean, obviously we can't be Amazon, but my point is that so many companies don't invest in conversion. They're so obsessed with driving traffic. They don't take a step back and think, well, what about converting that traffic? Everybody wants more. They want more leads, they want more sales, they want more traffic, but they never think about converting what they already have, um,
Could
because it's
not agree
easier to
more.
get more. Yeah, and I think, and this really does go across the board, it's irrelevant the size of the company. You know, whether you're a one man band, whether you're starting out, whether you've got two people, three, 10, 100. Honestly, I'm shocked by what I see when I do my consulting. But I'm not surprised because, you know, we want change. Well, people come to me because they want change. But the problem is that people struggle. We want the outcome, but we don't, or we struggle to go through the pain of the journey to get there. And I often liken it to athletes because I think athletes are fantastic examples of people who make huge changes and sacrifices to get to where they are. Um, and it's all about the journey for them, not just the outcome. And I think once we change our mindset as in business and enjoy the journey, enjoy making the changes, enjoy doing the planning, etc., only then can we achieve the outcome that we actually want.
Yeah, and it reminds me of dieting. Everybody wants a get rich quick pill instead of putting in the
Mm-hmm.
work to do it. And I just went through a detox diet and ended up
Mm.
it was to clear up inflammation, and it was god awful, and it all, but I also lost 34 pounds. So
Wow, good
yeah,
for you.
in 30
Wow.
days, so it was
Oh
horrible.
my
Well,
gosh,
it cleared.
lucky you.
Well, it's yeah, I didn't get to eat solid food, but I cleared up
Wow.
basically
Okay. Yeah.
eczema that was driving me crazy. And looking at athletes and looking at that mindset, a great way to do it. So
Yeah. No. And also, you know, if you look at the diet industry, it's one of the most lucrative industries.
of course.
If you do a Google search, you'll see more people wanting lose weight fast
Hmm.
than lose weight and maintain it because you can't do both. And it's the same in business. But people want to lose weight fast more than they want to lose weight slowly but maintain. And that's the problem. And until we change the problem, until we change the need and the demand, we won't change.
Yeah, it brings up so many examples I think of, especially with agencies, to where they employ somebody specifically on a channel and they only look at the channel. They don't look at the holistic approach for the
Mm,
team. And then
mm,
if somebody on the brand side, if you're at a decent sized company, if you're not assimilating those teams at agencies with your internal teams across the board, then it becomes it's what where the customer suffers in a lot of that experience. But well, another thing, I follow you a lot on your social channels as well, and I see that you post a lot of tips and tricks and hacks and tactics and things like that.
mm.
But what are some of the top ones that you're seeing today that you employ to generate more leads and sales and revenue? Obviously, being conscious of the environment we're in. We're hopefully getting past the coronavirus pandemic, but you never know with what will flare up in 20, I don't know if COVID 23 will be the next one we're dealing with. Who knows? But a lot
Oh
of
my goodness.
a lot of it
Yeah.
I know is some tips and some fundamentals, but I'd love to hear what's really working for you today.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I try and have an 80-20 rule. So I try and give 80% value and then 20% promotional. That's always my kind of rule with it. I do tweet a lot, and one of the
Yeah.
things, so many people are nervous to tweet that much because they don't want to annoy or piss off their followers. And it's like, well, if you're not selling and if you're providing value, then it doesn't matter, And the truth is, the more you tweet, the more results you get. So don't be afraid to share value and help people, because that's what you're doing. It's all about the mindset. You have to change it, that you're providing value and you're helping people. I think clickbait stuff is very effective, but you need to make sure that what you're clicking to, it then delivers on that promise of the link, or of the update. So spend some time writing. I think this is another thing, that you only have a few words to try and get someone to click on a link. And I think people do these things. This goes back to what we were just discussing. There's very little strategy and planning and process in social media. People just post stuff up on a whim. And I think if people took the time to think of the image, how it resonates, testing the images, the wording, which hashtags, etc., they'd get far more results from it. So I would much
Copywriting.
prefer.
I mean, I wish people would study
Yeah,
copywriting so much more and actually look at what kind of copy actually works, rather than just grasping at that hashtag, like you said.
absolutely. Yeah. And what's the purpose of this? Why are you posting this out? Are you on the right social networks? Have you looked at alternatives? Where is your audience? What time of the day? All these different little variables make such a difference. And I think, don't just use social media because everyone else is using it. You've got to be where your audience is. And also, I'll say one thing which is very controversial. Don't be so focused on engagement. Everyone's focused on engagement. But, social media isn't what it was. Years ago, engagement levels
Absolutely.
were really high. Now, engagement isn't so high. So you need to look at other types of ROI that you're getting. And engagement doesn't equal conversion. Just because you're having a nice chat with someone doesn't mean they're going to buy from you. And it doesn't mean they're the right person. I mean, I can remember I was doing some consulting for a client, and their engagement levels were through the roof. They were incredible, but they weren't getting results. So I spent some time analyzing it, and they were just talking to all their own, in effect, competitors or other marketers who weren't going to buy from them. So what was the point? So be strategic, be a little bit ruthless. This is your business. You want to make money. We're in it to make money as well as be nice and give value. But we can't be afraid to talk about that. It's like we're pussyfooting around
Exactly.
talking about the reason why we're actually here.
It's funny. I follow several people that have hundreds of thousands of or more of followers, and I'm always interested to see what their engagement rates are. They're less than mine with my tens of followers, but I never get caught up. I just think it has shown, if anything, just how much the thumb heart temperament has been on social with engaging with either liking or retweeting something. It's not what it used to be. So people have gotten sort of locked into
No,
looking at that, and it's not the same. So, well,
yeah.
how are you looking at your content today for driving sales? At least we've had a lot of content shock over the last few years, but really the folks like you that are producing better content for driving sales, I'd love to hear your advice on what people need to do differently.
Yeah, I mean, content is so saturated now. I mean, coming up with new content is tough because the chances are someone's already written about it. The way I do things is I try and be better than my competitors. So if someone's written something on 10 ways to do something, I will try and come up with double that or even treble that and actually really deep dive into it.
Amen.
Um, there's nothing worse than reading an article and thinking, well, yeah, that's obvious. I've learned nothing new here. So
All they've done
I
is recite the problem back to you in longer form without a solution.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's so frustrating. So, I mean, I specialize in content. That's what we do. It's our bread and butter. So I have to practice what I preach, and I try and make sure that our content is of a really high level. It's very detailed. It goes dives deep in. It's very tactical. I've got lots of calls to actions. I've got, all these different things, and I try and write for both my audience, but also for Google to get so that it ranks up for SEO. And I'm always trying to capture leads from my content wherever I possibly can. So it's very strategic. I don't just write for the sake of it. I'll have a strategy behind that piece of content. What's my objective? What do I want to achieve from it?
Well, I often look at content with clients I've worked with that, if they've got 1,000-word blog post, for example, and the problem that they're solving is less, where the solution is basically baked into 50 words or less, then it's a crappy blog. Because if they can't, if they've spent 950 words basically redescribing the problem or talking about themselves without answering it, I've seen conversions fall off a cliff. I think so many brands feel like they're just trying to put something out, not even
They
just
do.
keyword stuff, but they don't help people solve the problem they came there to read, took the time to read the blog for anyway.
Yeah. It's filler content. It serves no purpose whatsoever.
Exactly.
And you're much better off writing less frequently, but writing what I call killer content. And in all fairness, 1,000 words today is not enough
Exactly
to generate results now. You need to be having at least 2,000 to 3,000 now. Long form content is the way to go, which is a huge amount of work. And I get it, it is a lot of work. But instead of writing 3 articles at 1,000 words, just write 1 instead. Do you know what I mean? So that you can manage it.
Agreed. So, I've tried to do the best I could on my show to get a diversity of thought, whether it's race, gender, nationality. I try to get people from all over the globe. Really, some of the people that I've been very lucky to have on the show, whether it was Seth Godin or Guy Kawasaki or Ann Hanley or Martin Lindstrom. I mean, such diverse backgrounds. And there's Neil Patel's been on recently, but all kinds of different backgrounds. I'm always kind of curious how you see, and how anybody would see, how you see the number of top females in this industry. I don't know if they're receiving the recognition or amplifying their voice enough, but they're not, even in digital marketing, it's not the most diverse crowd of the top folks.
Whenever I speak all over the world, and I'm normally the only female.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's one. Look, I'll be honest, it's to my advantage, because
Agreed.
If there were more women, I probably wouldn't be as high up and be as fortunate to speak all over the world and have my level of influence. But yeah, it is definitely a man's game, and it's also a younger generation. I mean, I'm 47 and I'm starting to feel older. It is, I think that's life, and I'm conscious there's a lot going in the world.
I think the reason I'm thinking about this too is that I hosted a virtual conference last week, or I was the host and MC for one. And I had picked the speakers for this group that was having a virtual conference. And I didn't notice it until really after, and somebody pointed it out to me, that 9 out of the 16 speakers, including me, were female, which was fantastic. And I did not realize at the time that I'd found a diverse group. And so I don't know that I was necessarily consciously looking for female, African American, or Hispanic or anything else. I don't know that I was even looking for that type of diversity. I just realized after, again, as I was thinking about it, sort of getting prepared to speak with you, how few of the top names in marketing and advertising today are female. And that's why I'd asked that question that way. So.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. I mean, look, there are a lot of amazing female.
Absolutely, yeah.
Of course. I think, I don't know what the answer is. I think times will change over the coming years, because I think it's going to get younger, and younger people, there'll be more women. But also you have to remember that myself and a lot of the other influencers, we came in at the start, and that's how we got to where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
We're not necessarily better than anybody else. We were just at the beginning, and we managed to grow really large followings that none of us would be able to get today.
Yeah.
None of us. I'm very honest and open about that, whereas so many people aren't. And the fact is, today it's harder, and I think, yeah, I mean, the whole influencer world has really changed anyway over the years.
Well, you're still
I've
giving
seen.
killer advice, and that's why I follow you and why I think you've grown. It hasn't just been because you got in early. So, well,
Oh, that's very kind of you.
no, of
Thank
course.
you.
Well, Lilach, you're in Israel, and Sandbar and Dusky sharks have been in the news despite the coronavirus. There were quite a few showing up in the warming Mediterranean Sea near Hydera. So I asked
Oh,
this.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I asked this of all my guests because I'm a shark fanatic. So I must ask you, what is your favorite kind of shark and why?
Oh my goodness. I am going to really disappoint you because I don't know enough about sharks at all. I wouldn't even be able to name any of the sharks.
No, that's
So
fair.
I'm not going to embarrass myself. I would say, yeah. I mean, all I know is Jaws. I mean, that's it from the film. I mean, I'm terrible and I'm scared as well. So I can't even watch the movies. I'm too scared.
Oh, that's
So
funny.
I hope I've not disappointed you.
Well, I'm a little bit of a fanatic and I go swimming with them, but I've had answers,
I know.
I've had
It's
answers.
crazy.
Well, I've had answers from everything from sandbar sharks to great whites to baby shark, the international song to some of the people on Shark Tank. So it's been anything and everything. So,
Okay.
well, look, it's that special time in the show. Are you ready for the 5 most interesting and important questions that you're going to be asked today?
Hit me. I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Number 1, better type of marketing for lead generation and business growth: social media marketing or content marketing?
Content marketing.
Number 2, the beaches of England or the beaches of Israel?
Oh, easy. The beaches of Israel,
Oh,
hands
could
down.
not agree more. Yeah, yeah. Water is too cold in England anyway. So
Yeah.
so I also read that you're an avid fan of Zumba. So
Yeah.
would you rather be the CMO of Zumba or be a Zumba instructor and practitioner?
Oh, I think the CMO. I'm not good enough to be a
All right, number 4, fish and chips or hummus and a falafel?
Oh, I think I'll have to go with the hummus and falafel.
Ooh, I couldn't do that. Number 5, and I like hummus falafel. I just love fish and chips. Number 5, and the most important question that you're going to be asked today is biscuits or cornbread, and we're talking about American biscuits, not English biscuits.
Okay, what's cornbread?
Oh, that's so sad. So cornbread is, yeah, there's not a lot of cornbread in Israel or England, but cornbread
Yeah.
is a type of cornmeal, basically that we think of cornbread with like turkey and dressing. It's a those Southern or American type
Oh,
traditions. People
okay,
have it with
okay, sure.
chili. They have it with turkey. They have it with chili. They have it with all kinds of meals. But biscuits is kind of the breakfast food, and cornbread is sort of the lunch and dinner type bread that a lot of people have.
Okay. So I'm gonna go for the biscuits because I've got a sweet tooth.
There you go. So, Lilach, where can people find out more about you, keep up with what you're doing, enroll in the blog course, and a lot more?
Yeah, sure. So my website is www.lilachbullock.com. I've got a free course on how to make money online. It's a 15,000 word 7-day course, which is delivered, packed full of lots of how to tactical things, which you follow step by step. And I'm also on Twitter, Lilach Bullock, and Facebook, Lilach Bullock. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with you there.
Awesome. Lilach, again, thank you so much. It's been an honor. Thank you for being with us today on A Shark's Perspective.
Thank you so much. It's been great, Kenneth. I've loved it.
So there was my conversation with Leela Bullock, a marketing and social media consultant, entrepreneur, author of Images That Influence, keynote speaker, listed by Forbes as one of the top 20 women social media influencers, winner of Oracle Social Influencer of Europe, and named the #1 digital marketing influence by Career Expert. Let's take a look at 3 key takeaways from my conversation with her. First, one of the reasons I really appreciate her knowledge is because of the foundational viewpoint she takes on marketing. If you've heard me once on the show, then you've heard me at least 1,000 times when I talk about taking a more holistic view towards your business, your marketing, and most importantly, with your customer in mind. She compares it to the foundation of a house. Great point, since most of these houses seem to be built with twigs and not bricks. But what's your role to play in fixing that? Can everyone fix the bright shiny objects and channels problem? Even the roles you're hired into are to fix a specific task. And that's completely okay, but along the way, many people start siloing their thinking that way. And just remember that whether you're at an agency or brand or any other role, your customer doesn't fit into those silos. So start thinking of them and your marketing in a much different way. Second, Leela brings up a great point on change. She said, and I quote, "We want the outcome, but we don't always struggle to go through the pain of the journey to get there." A great analogy is just looking at diets, with the example of which would most people choose: lose weight fast or lose and maintain it. It's not easy to change your mindset, but it is very possible. Just don't tempt me with any key lime pie. Sharks love key lime pie, or at least this one does. Third, if you specialize in content, dive deeply into the subject matter in order to solve a problem well. So many bad blogs simply recite the problem back in longer form and never offer the thing, the solution you want. But you have to navigate through so much filler content that doesn't do anything for you as the reader. Write some killer content that solves a problem and solves it well. Focus on less, but better. Got a question? Send me an email to kenneth@asharksperspective.com. Thank you again for the privilege of your time. Thank you for an amazing ride of 250 episodes. If you're interested in diving deeper, then I've got at least another 250 more with a lot more mention of sharks. So join us on the next episode of A Shark's Perspective.